Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Atusa. I'm a woman grandmaster, and today I want to show a very nice game from Saint Louis tournament, Grand Chess Tour. And this is a game that basically decided the champion in Blitz and Rapid portion in Saint Louis, United States of America. And this is a game between Fabiano Caruana and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. So all the eyes were on this game because if Fabi could draw this game, he could become a champion. And if Maxime could win the game, then Maxime would be a champion of this tournament. So this section is 5 minutes plus 2 seconds, so it considers as a blitz portion. As you can see, Fabiano is playing as white and Maxime is playing as black. Yeah, you can see it on the board. Maxime played knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, knight f3, c6, e3, black played knight bd7, bishop d3, d takes d4, bishop takes d4. Guys, one thing that you should usually know in such pawn structure is that black usually waits for this bishop to move, and then black wants to take the pawn c4 to get a tempo. So that's why here, for example, at this moment, we don't want to take on c4 because this is not a good move. We usually want to wait for this bishop to move, and then black can take the pawn. So now white needs to spend another tempi on that. Okay, so here black played b5. The bishop is under attack. Bishop retreated to e2, a6. In this pawn structure, black usually wants to play c5, but since the pawn on b5 is vulnerable, that's why black plays a6 to protect this pawn, and later on black wants to push the pawn to c5. So here white castled, black played c5, white played d5. So all these moves are theory, and here black took on d5, knight takes d5, bishop b7, knight takes f6, knight takes f6, and here white played a4. Okay, just keep in mind that Fabiano, who's playing as white, he does want to get a draw, because draw guarantees him the gold medal in this tournament. But Maxime is fighting for a win, so Maxime has to win this game in order to become a champion. So that's why he needs to play a little more risky, right? So here he played b4. As you can see, Maxime has 3 minutes and 30 seconds here, and Fabi has 4 minutes and 10 seconds in this position. So Fabi played b3, black played bishop d6 to avoid the exchange of the queens. Fabi played bishop b2, putting the bishop on this nice diagonal. Castle, h3. h3 is a useful move. Usually when you're playing, especially in blitz games, you usually want to have that square cleared for your king. So black plays knight e4, queen c2, queen e7, rook a d1, rook a d8. Okay, so we have one open file in this position and just one open file, right? So we have two half open files and one open file here. So that's why you usually want to control the open file with your rooks, and that's what these players are doing. White played bishop c4, activating the bishop through this diagonal. Black played knight g5, knight takes g5, queen takes g5. Now white needs to be careful. Why? Because black has one move, checkmate the bishop and the queen are looking at this pawn on g2. So that's why Fabi played f4. So what does it do, this move? So basically we are attacking the queen, but also we are opening up the rank. Now the queen is protecting the pawn, right? So black played queen e7, queen e2, the pawn was hanging. So bishop c7, rook fe1, king h8, queen g4, black played f6, because white wants to do the same thing to black here. So black played f6, which was a good move, and black earlier moved the king to h8 to unpin this pawn. If you remember, at this point Maxime played king h8 because this pawn was pinned and he couldn't push the pawn to block the other bishop. So after king h8, queen g4, we can just push the pawn to f6 and stop this checkmate. White played queen e6, queen takes e6, bishop takes e6, bishop e4. Okay, so after bishop e4, we want to stop this move a4 at some point, and also this is a nice central square for the bishop. So white played bishop c4. Now the pawn on a6 is under attack. That's why black just pushed the pawn. White played king f2, h5, g3, king h7, king e2. As you guys know, in the endgames, kings become powerful pieces. You can get your kings into the game. That's why the players are just moving their king towards the center or towards better squares. So here white played bishop d3, bishop takes, rook d3, king d3, rook d8 check, and king e2. Notice that if white wants to play aggressive and play king c4, now black can play rook d2. Black can attack this bishop, and this bishop, if the bishop moves, for example, to a2, then black can either play rook c2 or bishop d6 to protect the pawn. So black does have a way to protect the pawn on c5. That's why in the game Fabi played king e2, which is a more logical move, I would say, in such positions, because when you need a draw, you don't want to play a risky move, and you don't want to play a double-edged position. So king e2 controls the 7th rank, and it doesn't allow this rook to penetrate to white territory. So after king e2, black played c4, which was an interesting move. So the idea here is to open up this diagonal, but also to create this protected passed pawn. So b takes c4, bishop b6. Now we have this diagonal, and we have such ideas as well. So white pushed the pawn to c5, which was not necessary here, actually. A better move here for white is to play g4. What does it do? The pawn on g4 is covering these two squares, so the black king cannot get closer to the center. And also we create some space for ourselves. And if black wants to play rook c8, then we can protect our pawn. But white didn't play this move. White pushed the pawn. And as you can see, Fabi has just 34 seconds on the clock. So he sacrificed, or it's better to say he just gave this pawn back. And then he played rook c1. He attacking the bishop. Bishop f8, g4, h takes g4, h takes g4, b3, rook c3, rook b8, rook c4, bishop b4, king d3, logical move, rook h8, rook c1, rook h4, bishop d4, rook takes g4. So now black is up a pawn, but still the position should be equal if both players play all the best moves. But since the players are in, they have just a few seconds left on the clock, it's a tricky position. So everything can happen here. Here white play rook b1 to attack this pawn, rook g2, rook takes, rook a2 to attack this pawn, e4, rook takes e4, b1, king f7, rook c1, check, c4, bishop d2, which was a good move. So we have a double attack here, rook f1, and here Maxime played rook h3, rook a1, bishop takes f4, rook takes a5, bishop e3. Okay, bishop e3 was not a great move. We usually want to keep the bishops in such positions. So probably in this position, it was better for black to activate the rook h8 or rook h1, with the idea that you can always check the king from distance. But bishop e3 was played. So bishop c3, then he played bishop f2. Although in this position, actually, white has an interesting idea. White could check the king here, trying to win this pawn. And if the king goes to g6, now he could pin the bishop. Because notice that if we pin the bishop at this point, we can take and rook takes h3 and bishop e5, and actually even here I think white can draw the game. So I'm not sure why Bobby didn't play this move. Maybe he just didn't see it because he had just 8 seconds on the clock. So I think he didn't see this move. So anyway, he played bishop c3, which was not correct. Bishop f2, probably rook h4 was a better move here, but again, the players are in time trouble, and it's kind of hard for them to make the most accurate moves. So bishop f2, rook a6, rook e3, e5, f takes e5. So look at this position. Black is up 2 pawns, and black needs to win in order to win the whole tournament. And let's see what happens here. So white played bishop d2, rook e2. And guess what? Rook e2 is a blunder. So at this moment, Maxime had 9 seconds on the clock. Bobby had just 3 seconds on the clock. And the best move here is just to move the rook somewhere else, rook f3 or rook g3. Why? Because when you play rook e2, your pieces are not on the right squares. So your pieces are blocking you, and white can just play king d3, which was found by Bobby in the game. Even though he had just 3 seconds on the clock, he found this brilliant move. Okay, maybe it's not a brilliant move in a ordinary game and when you have time because you're attacking the rook, but when you have just 3 seconds on the clock and you're playing to get a gold medal in this tournament, and if you draw this game or if you win, you're gonna get $40,000 in prizes. So that is really stressful, don't you think, guys? So that's why he found this move really well. And now the rook is trapped. So the only move for black is just to take the bishop. King takes, and then here black played bishop d4 to protect the pawn. But at this point, it's kind of hard to win as black because the pawns are not connected and white can blockade them easily. So white played king d3, black pushed the pawn, king e4, king e7. Okay, maybe it was better to push the pawn to g4, but even after g4, white could draw the game. But okay, here black played king e7, which was met by rook g6, and now it is not possible to protect the pawn, so black moved the king back to f7, rook takes g5, king e7, rook takes e5, bishop takes e5, and here we have a theoretically drawn position, because when the king takes, we don't have any pieces left on the board. So this game was really stressful for the players, but it was really entertaining for the audience, right? So from tomorrow, we have the classical portion of this tournament, Grand Chess Tour, and with 10 players, I would say top 10 players in the world. Okay, we are missing few players in this tournament, but still very strong tournament and very entertaining. And who are you rooting for, guys? Please write me in comment section. Who do you want to become a champion in classical games? So we have Fabiano, Caruana, Maxime, Vachier-Lagrave, we have Alireza Firuzja, Wesley So, and Jeffrey Shang, and a lot of other good players. So we have 10 players in this field, and very exciting games starting from tomorrow in classical portion. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Cheers!